It's soft boy time! Woo! We're gonna talk about the best boys now, and girls.
And girls.
Best girl is Tamari, definitely. Tamari. Hinata's a second, but... Alright. And best boy. Otherwise known as the only boys who got an actual arc that actually made sense.
And were well written and likable.
Alright. So, starting with Gaara. Woo! I love Gaara so much.
He's a ginger boy.
Also, not to distract, but plug for the dub version of Gaara's voice. It is one of the best things I've ever heard. If you do not like dubs, I understand, but if for no other reason than to experience this voice acting,
listen to it.
Watch the dub with Gaara.
It's hilarious and beautiful.
It's amazing. Anyway. Bless you. Gaara. Tell them about Gaara.
Me.
Yeah, you.
Me?
Why do I have to do all the talking?
Because okay, fine. So, Gaara is the small child who had a demon in his tummy also, near the beginning of the show.
Was it in his tummy or his chest?
I don't think it matters. Okay, but we should start at the beginning.
That was the beginning.
Well,
basically, Gaara got a demon
No, it
stuck
wasn't.
inside him by his dad, which also killed his mom, and he was premature. And if that's, anything about babies, that's traumatic enough. But also, he grew up, he couldn't control it, and his dad decided it'd be a good idea to traumatize him further by having his uncle try to kill him and then lie to him about his mom to see if he could control it, because that's always a good idea. It just make no sense to me, honestly. And then he decided to blame Gaara for the fact that that went badly and tried to kill him about 6 more times by the time Gaara was 12.
And eventually his dad died for reasons.
If that was enough to mess you up, Gaara also had to deal with not being able to sleep, which made him emotionally unstable.
So,
and
sad boy times all around.
He decided to live only to love himself, because his uncle told him to do that.
Because no one else did. So
And
sadness.
so he kind of blew off his siblings, who were, oh my gosh, the only people who actually cared about this kid at all. It was really pretty sad. And thought he would just go ahead and just keep killing people, to find fulfillment in life. And at this point, he meets Naruto, who says, dude, I protect people I'm close to because they save me from being alone in life, and that's why I fight. And Gaara's like, oh my gosh, what is this? What is this, idea? What is this feeling?
What is this?
Why is he
This
so
song
strong?
is in the
And he
air.
goes on a quest for love. Which sounds cheesy, but it's actually really cool. To discover what love is, form bonds with his village and presumably his siblings. And that's what he does, and it's really cool. I really wish we could go into every detail of why it was awesome, but we can't.
No time.
The highlights, though, would be after Gaara resolves to build bonds with his village, he eventually ends up becoming the Kazakage. After which he's kidnapped because he's a Shinchuriki, someone with a tailed beast inside him, and they want to suck the tailed beast out.
So they all band together to create a giant silly straw and try to suck it out of his body, and it works, and he kind of dies, but not really, because he gets brought back to
spoilers,
life.
brought back to life.
The funny thing is, this is the only time someone's been, officially completely brought back from the dead. But it was also highly symbolic because it was like a death and rebirth, so I appreciate, but it was just interesting.
He's literally given a whole new chance at life thanks to somebody else. And he's now free from being a Jinchuriki. He no longer has this crazy
And he
creepy
never
power.
takes it back. Yas queen.
He
Yas
escapes.
queen.
He doesn't get it back like Naruto does at the end. He is free. And it is amazing.
So many reasons why Naruto shouldn't have gotten those things, but
It's so well done, and it will make you cry. Actually, Gaara's story will make you cry a lot. I choked up, I think, more than once watching it. At least I got very, very close.
He found out his mama loved him.
Yeah,
So sad.
he found out his...
But
Okay, we're gonna get too
yeah,
emotional. Stop.
yeah.
Stop. Move on. Move on.
He also learned to be a good leader, which is actually pretty much defying the odds.
Yeah, and
So
he actually is a good leader.
Yeah, he
unlike
is
Naruto.
actually what he says he is.
holds people to his standard. He doesn't take any crap, but he's very humble and willing to take the worst of it on himself, willing to give people the benefit of the doubt, willing to forgive people for their
I'm willing to be fair.
many transgressions against him.
There's one time when when someone tried to kill him again, though this was like somewhere during the Chunin exams, which they skipped. He forgave the guy who was actually from his own village. Oh yes, more spoilers. Who tried to kill him and take out his Jinchuriki. He was in charge of the whole thing, and he's like, well, I'll explain to you that I've been trying to do my best and trying to like make up for the things I've done when I was younger and trying to become a good leader. And he's just like, I'm sorry about like how you felt, but I intend to keep on trying to improve. And the guy was like, oh, well now I feel bad. And then he stabbed himself. Not good writing for that part, but the rest of it was good.
Was that really necessary?
Gara's reaction was good. Other than that, it was really dark because they never let us be happy, but like, that part was good.
Yeah.
So.
Bad writing plagued a lot of the characters on this show, especially though Jinchuriki, the whole part with how they led us on, made us like them. But Gar's was really satisfying because in the end, he actually doesn't have a terrible story. He lives basically happily ever after.
Yes.
I would recommend watching only that part of the show. And right up with Gara in good development are his two siblings, Kankuro and Tamari. Tamari is one of our favorite characters.
She's good.
We are a little bit biased.
And Kankuro's kind of a nerd, but he doesn't get a lot of development, and he's kind of
I did not like Kankuro at first. I thought he was a bully, but he developed into being a really cool, funny character, and I really like him now. I still like Tamari and Gara more.
I think him and Tintin have a couple funny things in common. It would be funny if they hung out, but that's off. So that's neither here nor there.
And him going into protective older brother bear mode was awesome.
Bear mode.
So Gara is helped a lot by his two siblings because they fill out his weaknesses. They're both a little bit more practical than he is. He's kind of the idealist out of the three. They also have character arcs, which are much simpler to explain. But like I said, Kankuro kind of starts off as a bully who kind of picks on people, and he doesn't really take the best steps.
Kills people sometimes.
He kind of follows orders, and that's just kind of it. And later, he becomes a good protector of his village, who's willing to protect other people, not just his family.
But not just blindly follow orders.
He never becomes as nice as Gara, but we get the feeling that he's changed a lot on the inside from watching Gara change. Tamari has a bit more of an interesting arc, and if you watch the show, you already know. But
I hope you watch the show if you're watching this video.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the show, her arc revolves a lot also around Gara, but it also revolves around some of the Leaf characters, namely Naruto himself and Shikamaru, which was the best part. And she kind of goes from being this really harsh, mean person to, she's still kind of mean sometimes on the outside, but we get to see that there's a lot of gentleness and kindness behind it, and she becomes actually the main diplomat between Leaf and Sand.
You also get the feeling she's only harsh sometimes as a means of defense and creating respect, which is...
It's actually shown to be a pretty cool part of her character, that she brings out the most effort in people.
She's also a pretty good teacher, so that's also good. The teacher arc was adorable, but that's not the point.
They both support Gara's arc in that they also show us people changing and people who actually get changes done. Out of all the characters in the show who talk about change, the Sand siblings, that's what we call them, actually accomplish the most. They set up good relations between their village, they change the Chunin exam, and towards the end they do something we absolutely loved, and that was reminding our boy Shikamaru that trust is important and it's a two-way street.
That arc was one of the only other arcs I'd recommend watching.
And Tamari absolutely slays in that arc.
It's pretty short, it's pretty good. It's kind of like Zootopia mixed with Naruto.
No, it's not.
It has night howlers.
It did have the night howlers, but they didn't eat them.
They didn't need to. Anyway.
And speaking of Shikamaru, let's talk about him. Best boy!
Transition, kind of.
So next to, it'd be like hard to pick between Sai and Shikamaru's two is my favorite, but they are the best Leaf characters. Shikamaru is basically a better Naruto than Naruto is.
Yay.
Yay! Yeah.
There's a lot of Naruto's on the show.
The reason I say that is because Shikamaru has a bit of a similar story to Naruto in that they go through a lot of the same things, losing mentors, trying to like figure
Losing
out the
parents,
whole alliance thing.
Last one.
But Shikamaru's arcs tend to differ from Naruto's in that he's already a person who has a rather easy time making friends. He's got a good relationship with his best friend Choji and his kind of friend slash teammate.
He's good at maintaining his friendships, not so much putting himself out there, but he works well with people, so that helps him.
He's also one of the first people to accept Naruto. Naruto didn't have to beat into it.
Yay!
Yay! So that's all reasons to like him.
Also, he's logical.
He's logical, he's smart, but more importantly, he's merciful, and that's what really makes him a good character. He uses his intelligence to think of ways to be kinder to people and to not have to sacrifice his teammates in the name of protecting the village. This plays really well into his relationship with the Sand because it's basically thanks to him and them that the villages stay in a good relationship and form stronger alliances, and he helps them kind of make the Chunin exam more about loyalty and teamwork than power like it was in the past. So good little shifting from basically the Hunger Games to something like more like the Olympics, I guess. I don't really know. What would you compare it to?
I honestly wouldn't. It doesn't.
Maybe more how Ruby did it, I guess.
Does it really matter?
Not
it was
really.
Just weird.
Not really.
Though I was entertained when Neji was punching that wall and that dude was trying to mess him up. But that's not the point.
That was great.
That was funny. That part of the arc was pretty good.
But Shikamaru also deals with grief better than Naruto does, in that he doesn't obsess over it and make it like this abusive, self-destructive mindset where I have to blame myself for everything. Instead, because his dad actually helps him, yay for good father figures.
Yay, good father figures.
There's not that many of them on the show. He processes his grief and decides to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because he wants revenge. And he succeeds.
Yes, it only took him like, I don't know, an arc and a half?
No, it takes him like 7 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, it was short.
Okay.
A lot of his arcs are actually short, but they're really good. They tend to focus a lot on how much he works well with people and trusts his teammates, and that's why he has so much success.
You know, when the writers are forced to focus on main characters but also write side plots, that usually makes the side plots better because the pacing has to be better.
The message of the show is supposed to be, among other things, that you share your pain and you share your joy, and that makes you stronger. But with Naruto, we never actually see him do either of these things. He never talks about his pain, really, and he doesn't spend a lot of time with people, actually. He often goes off by himself to fight things, and he's allowed to do that.
The one time I feel like he does do this is during, like, the movie.
The movie.
Where, during one of the movies, which one was it? Like, was it The Road to Ninja or was it the other one?
The Stone of Jal-El?
Yeah. During that one, that specific movie, he talks with his father figure and some other people about how he feels. Briefly. It's not a very big thing, but it does create more of a
I think that was
connection.
The Road to Ninja.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that was okay.
honestly, they do it in the movies from time to time more than they do it on the show. So if it was both movies, I wouldn't be surprised.
Never saw a show where the movies were actually better than the show, but this show is it. I was saying though that Shikamaru, he doesn't work by himself. That's what makes him better. He actually does purposely work with other people instead of going off by himself.
He works with his
When he needs to do it
teammates.
alone, he does do it alone, but he doesn't isolate himself just because he feels like he has to.
It seems like he's the only character whose first choice is to find people to work with.
The one time he does do this, Tamari, being the awesome person that she is, slaps him to his senses. And
As
it's
well as
great.
his other teammates, because yes, they're also there for him.
It was great.
It was one of
beautiful.
the best arcs of the show.
Why we're bringing this up is some of the themes of this show we mentioned before are, forgiving people, trusting people, and being there for your friends, never abandoning them. And Shikamaru, as well as the Sand, both kind of make this work without compromising their standards. In the end, they don't ever say that what Sasuke or any of the other evil characters did was good or that it was okay. They try to help, but ultimately it seems like they're realistic and they're not going to let themselves be constantly abused by this person in order to save them.
So a trait that few of the characters share.
It's actually, they focus on the people who are actually willing to change and work with them and make it very clear that they don't really have to bother with anyone who's gonna stick their head in the sand like an ostrich and pretend nothing is happening. And it's actually really cool, and it actually works. It works, and it's pretty much the reason they won the war.
It's honestly one of the few examples of healthy relationships. Very few examples of those exist. It's really sad.
Also, both Gaara and Shikamaru deal with the issue of vengeance and forgiveness a little bit, but more Gaara. And Gaara shows that it's okay to forgive someone for terrible things that they've done without justifying them in your mind. Eventually, he does forgive his father for the things that he did because he says he came to understand why his father did it, and his father actually helped him in the end and did the right thing, and Gaara sees no point in hanging on to the past.
Shikamaru doesn't exactly do it the same way, but he does let go of what the guy did to him.
More like Shikamaru learns to accept forgiveness. That's kind of what we're shown with him, and not keep beating himself up about it and blaming himself for stuff that he couldn't control.
He just lets go of the pain and the rage and just ends up doing his job and getting rid of the villain who killed his mentor because that's what he needed to do.
Two halves of the same coin, basically. And it's actually handled very well for the most part. It still doesn't save the show because they're always sidelined and they're in side arcs or side moments, and it's never referenced by anyone else. No one else ever learns from it. It's kind of just within these 4 or 5 characters.
Though I will say they mishandled it by making them fight their mentor when anyone else could have volunteered to do that.
Let's not talk about that.
It made me upset. Okay, I'm sorry.
It would be not fair to not mention Sai.
Yes.
Alright. Underused, underappreciated Sai. But let's talk about him real quick.
Acknowledged to be underused by the show writers. And,
Really?
Well, the way they have their characters react to him.
Alright, so not too much to say about Sai other than he's basically the Sasuke we wanted and the Sasuke we deserve, but not the Sasuke we got. He's the person who actually realized he had a problem and he needed to fix it, and he puts work into fixing it.
And he starts out as, like, being an undercover villain and not really caring or understanding, which I personally felt like was how Sasuke should have started out if they were going to redeem him.
Not really. That's the main point, is that Sai starts off...
It wasn't mandatory.
Not really understanding emotions, much like Sasuke, and not really understanding love or friendship. But unlike Sasuke, Sai resolves to fix this about himself by studying and by becoming friends with the people
He cares
around
so
him.
much about it that he takes notes about it, like, constantly, I feel like.
Instead of appreciating that he's putting so much effort in, the other characters constantly get mad at Sai for not understanding feelings. Even though it's not actually his
The
fault.
show handles people trying to, like, develop themselves so poorly.
Mm. Also, Sai is one of the only characters who's sane. He actually realizes that the whole Sasuke Naruto thing and Sasuke Sakura thing is abusive and tells Sakura she needs to deal with it, which she ultimately fails to do.
Even though she does try, which I'll give her credit, she tries, but she fails very, very much.
He and Shikamaru actually both team up to do that, and it was great.
Yes.
I'm glad they became friends later. But, yeah, Sai is honest. He says, this isn't good, and I don't understand why you're doing this. Unfortunately, nobody ever listens to him.
He's one of the few characters who, after being shown, like, a more logical and healthy way to deal with his problems, actually takes initiative by himself. And, like, he shouldn't have to do it by himself, but most of the time he does, and he struggles because of that. But he still keeps on going, and that's really one of the best things about his character.
In the end, he's the only member of Team 7 who escapes the cycle of constantly revolving everything around Sasuke and goes and joins other people who treat him better.
And the funny thing is, it's
yay.
probably only because he never put any stock in Sasuke. Because he's not stupid.
Yeah, he's not. He kind of saw that snake in the grass and was like, I'm not going to step on it, you know what I mean? Just to go.
The characters
Right.
actually resented him for being so similar to Sasuke in the earlier episodes, even though that's not his fault, which I found ironic.
Sasuke was so much cooler than him, though.
And we're
Cut
like,
to
guys,
Sasuke doing absolutely nothing.
cut to him sitting in a cave getting told by his creepy dad snake to go outside and play with the other kids.
And he's like, no,
Honestly,
Stop, leave me alone, I'm playing with my video games.
I also kind of enjoyed that because of how, grotesquely humorous it was, but other
Please
than that,
no.
it was just weird.
Please, no. Please,
Hey.
no.
I'm gonna say if I liked it for some reason, because at least that's better than completely disliking it.
Alright, one more.
One more thing.
About forgiveness. It's handled well in the show in one season. I believe that was season 4. It's called Gurren and Yukimaru. It is my favorite part of this entire show. Because it does not even feel like the rest of the show. I can't go into it too much because we are running out of time. But basically, it's a very similar situation to other situations on the show where an older character gets redeemed by learning to love a child character. But in this case, it's actually shown and developed in a way that makes sense. And the theme of forgiveness is coupled with the theme of you have to repent and change. Naruto himself even advocates that someone needs to change before you accept them as a friend. Something he completely forgets about
Immediately backpedals.
Immediately at the end, does not see the irony here.
Oh my gosh.
But it is shown well with Gurren and Yukimaru, the two characters this is shown with. And one of the best parts is Orochimaru, who's usually pretty smug, gets his rear handed to him as far as his evil plot is concerned, and it's awesome.
Yeah, he gets foiled.
He outmaneuvered himself, basically.
So
the only
that
sad thing
was
is that
enjoyable.
Ultimately it didn't help. But
Yeah,
it is self-contained, a great story, and
They
it
got to
actually
go.
has a happy ending, which is a miracle
They
on
got
the
to
show.
go be happy.
So watch that.
I definitely enjoyed that one. I'd say that it's definitely one of the other arcs I would think you should check out.
Alright, that's the end of our points. Any final thoughts?
I liked the multiple versions of Link that showed up.
Wow, there's actually like 3 or 4 reincarnated Link characters.
I make
On
this
this show.
joke because
And they're all better than most of the other characters.
I make a joke. I know it's probably nothing to most people because they would say that's not even the same kind of person. But I think it's funny. The kid who played like the ocarina in that one arc who killed himself to save the village, and then Gurren himself, and then this one other kid.
You mean Yukimaru?
Oh yeah.
This one kid from the Stone of Jalal movie also looked like Link. So
Yeah.
a lot of Links, but Link can reincarnate, so I guess it makes sense.
It was just our own inside joke, but
This
I
is,
thought it was worth
from
sharing.
that Zelda game. If you don't know,
Well, of course they know Zelda.
I don't know if they know Zelda. I don't know who
Fine.
watches this.
Okay, fine.
My final thoughts. This show is extremely frustrating. It's not well written, and
I thought we were doing positive things.
has a bad message, but there are a few characters who escape it and are worth getting to know because their stories are really cool. So I recommend asking somebody who's watched it or looking it up to if you're gonna get into the show. But I do recommend checking out those parts and skipping a lot of filler.
Skip, like, trust me, you can skip like 60%
but
of the entire
I would
series.
never recommend, honestly, this entire show to anyone. It's too bad. It has to be watched selectively or not at all, if you ask me. So
It was painful. It was gross a lot of the time.
I don't regret watching it, but I do very much feel sorry for everyone who had to watch it the first time around and couldn't skip anything. And
Those poor kids.
I'm so sorry. And if one of those people's watching this, I can't do it. But
I mean, they probably enjoyed it when they were, because if it was airing when they were a kid. But
right. So if you watched all 3 of these or just this one, thank you. Leave a comment if there's anything you thought we left out or wanted to expound on.
or if you think our videos are too long and want to tell us.
Subscribe if you're interested in sign language or more review videos because we'll probably make some more. But that is all. Peace out. And that's it. So
Yeah.
bye.